Let's talk about the Ginsburg seat, which is not unrelated, right? I mean,
Yeah.
Donald Trump really wants there to be 9 justices before the election, presumably because he doesn't want to have to rely on Roberts, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's my sense of this.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if he is right to be suspect of Roberts or not. And if there are 9 justices, we really won't ever know because, you know, all of a sudden it's a free vote for Roberts.
Yeah.
You may want to maintain some type of like, you know, legacy position, I guess, of like, you know, on the better side of angels or whatever it is. So if there's 9 justices, we won't know whether he was right to doubt Roberts. But I can understand why you'd want an insurance plan if you were about to do something really bad.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and so we know why Donald Trump wants to seat that justice, right? He wants a crony on the court. You had a piece where you talked about Claire McCaskill responding to doing exactly what we just talked about in terms of like, you know, how Democrats will react to this. Like, everybody calm down, take a breath.
Take a breath.
You're all just imagining that the Republicans don't believe in institutions and, you know, like operate like they're crazy people, or that they're ideologues who are megalomaniacal in that respect. Everybody's got to calm down. I know these people, she's saying. I know how to get elected in the Midwest, except for when I don't.
Yeah.
I am just stunned by that. And I think I saw the exchange that you had with her on Twitter that led to this piece. But just like lay it out for us. Like, my first reaction was he is going to keep, and by he, I mean McConnell, is going to keep the seat open and vote in the lame duck.
Yeah.
Because fully 1/4 of Republican voters said that they voted because of that empty seat from the Supreme Court for Donald Trump. That's, I mean, an enormous number of people.
Yeah.
And so give me your assessment.
That's, you know, you explained why Trump wants a 9th justice now, and I think McConnell has, partly for exactly the reason you just said. I think McConnell has, his interest lies in not having a 9th justice before the election, and I think that the Claire McCaskill, her argument last Friday was that, you know, McConnell it will not want to do something so provocative and potentially damaging before the election because it will hurt the reelection chances of a few vulnerable Republican senators. And, you know, he wants to protect his majority. But then, like, what is his motivation for keeping the seat open after the election? Right? Like, and I think that he will be much more motivated by.
I should say that she said, because then it will jeopardize some senators in 2022. You know,
yeah.
What?
Yes. And as I said, the idea that he would avoid doing something that is part of his like political goals, that like one of his stated political goals, the idea that he would avoid accomplishing one of his goals because it might potentially be controversial years from now, is what you would think McConnell would do if he were a Democrat.
Exactly. Exactly.
If McConnell were a Democrat, I could see him saying, I better not fill this seat. It might make someone mad at me 2 years from now.
Right. I would hate to actually pursue my primary directive because somebody could get upset and I could lose my power and then my ability to follow my prime directive.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, the logic is just, well, first of all, it is a perfect illustration of what is problematic about McCaskill. But I mean, she's gone now, but like Pelosi, like Schumer. I mean, this is the Democratic establishment far more interested in maintaining power than actually deploying their power for the purpose that they ostensibly have their power.
I think this is the main problem with specifically this set of congressional Democrats, and it's definitely not like all Democrats. It's this set of congressional Democrats.
Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah, they believe the point of amassing power is to protect this particular collection of people in their seats, right? Like that's what they are doing it for. They are saying like everything we do is to make sure this group of people continues to win elections.
I mean, how many since 2006? How many Republican leaders have we had in the House?
Oh yeah,
I mean, like. We had the wrestling coach who apparently was sued for having molested children. John Boehner, who allowed his caucus to vote that Barack Obama wasn't from America. Paul Ryan. We have had McCarthy. I mean, have we had more than 4?
I think that's it. Was Cantor in there? He was just a.
Cantor was a whip, but I'm saying just absolute like top leadership.
Yeah.
There may have been a 5th that I can't remember. And we've had 1.
Yeah.
1 in the Democrat, 1.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's pretty nuts.
And then, like, I mean,
we have a very, very ossified Democratic leadership.
And it comes in with. I mean, God, did you? I'm sure that you saw the Feinstein story too, right? Where they're like, because of seniority, because we do everything according solely to seniority and nothing else. She is like
she's going to be running the judiciary,
committee, and we're a little worried because she's nearly 90 and seems like she might not know what's going on.
Right.
It's like it's astonishing.
It's interesting because when you were talking about it depends on what the Democrats' reaction is to if Trump does sort of steal the election in that way or wins by extra electoral means. Yeah. The notion that becomes the platform for like an AOC. Like where the Democratic establishment is just sort of, again, like, well, there's no point in rocking the boat. We have to work with these people, whatever it is.
Yeah.
That becomes, I mean, somebody's going to fill that vacuum.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's AOC or if it's other people, but like, that's, that's going to happen at one point. I don't know when that will be. It may be, depending on what this election turns out, but a dynamic like that is going to happen. And so, we've got this situation where the Democrats just seem to be completely befuddled now, and so all right, and they cannot even imagine that Mitch McConnell would do this. But let's go back to McConnell.
Yeah. Well,
is it worth it to him to fill the seat? Like, I don't think he's going to try. Well, the only reason why he wouldn't, why it seems to me why he would fill the seat now as opposed to after the election is because he's going to do it when he can.
Right. Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
If he can't do it now, second position is fill it after the election if he can. But he's not going to aim for after the election because he's not sure that he can then. If he has the votes now, he's going to do it. And I think he has the votes now.
I think he does it when he has the votes. Absolutely. And that very well could be before the election. And I think like, you could say, he will allow Collins and Murkowski to vote against it, and because Collins is like allowed to vote no when her vote is not necessary, I think it still could cause her the election. But that's what like the McCaskill brain would say. It's going to hurt Collins, even if she votes no, it's going to hurt her. I mean, but he's like, yeah, but then we will own the Supreme Court for a generation.
We will have
we will get what we wanted.
I will have seated 3 Supreme Courts and about 200 other federal courts, and I will go down in the history books.
But I joked on Twitter. I was like the scenario I was imagining, just out of pure cynicism, was Collins loses election and then votes to confirm in December. That's what I was like in the lame ducks. Then she's like, "Screw you" on the way out. But
I mean, that's not inconceivable, but.
No. I mean, no, I think you're totally right on the timing, and I think like I think it's foolish to, it's like he does it when he has the votes. He might have them now. if they get shellacked in the election, like of course they're going to do it on the way out the door.
Well, they're going to try, and I think the odds of them being able to do it under those circumstances are less than them being able to do it now, and that's why I think he's going to try and do it now. I think like his number one agenda is, and he's willing to bet the whole farm on this because, well, you know, I mean, I guess he could, you know, if Trump wins, then it's like he's still protected his legacy. Like his legacy etched in stone. These are all lifetime appointments.
Yeah.
And if he loses the Senate now, after 2 years, he'll get it back. And if he loses the Senate and Trump's still president, it's not like they're going to be able to do anything.
No, exactly.
And so, although I guess maybe you could impeach.
That would be the question.
And then you get, and then Mike Pence is there for the next, and then you get the Senate back in 2022. And that's his thinking. So let me ask you this. There was a piece in The Intercept, and people have made this public. I mean, really what's going on here is people are trying to pressure Chuck Schumer to show even the slightest indication that he has a spine, like even the slightest. And the fact is, if Mitch McConnell wants to do this, I don't think the Democrats can stop him, but they can slow him down.
Yeah.
And you could theoretically slow him down to the extent where it has to happen in the lame duck session.
Yeah.
And again, you know, Collins, maybe she votes for, you know, or I don't know. Maybe there's a couple of people, maybe Mitt Romney, if Biden wins big.
Yeah.
And, you know, Mitt Romney, who is, I hope you know, has an incredible amount of integrity. If Mitt Romney, you know, sees that Biden won, maybe then he says, well, we shouldn't do it in a lame duck. You know, who knows? These are all wild cards. I still think the Republicans would probably do it, but it's less of a sure thing than doing it now because they can't afford to not do it now if they have the opportunity.
Yeah.
And if McConnell decides to push. So there's a memo that's been laid out by a bunch of like, I don't know, former Senate staffers and that has been leaked or made public anyways, as a way of pressuring Chuck Schumer. And it goes through the entire, you know, like every, I could read all of it to everybody and we would understand like, you know, 1/8 of it because it's all like you bring a motion and then you, you know, recommit it. And then, you know, it's all these parliamentary Robert's Rules of Orders, you know, who knows what, but the bottom line is you can slow stuff down.
Right.
You can't do a, you know, Mr. Smith goes to Washington and stop the whole thing, but you can slow it down. You can make it highly inconvenient. And there's 2 or 3 things that come with that. One is you keep incumbent Republican senators, and there's more of them running than there are Democrats.
You keep them in Washington.
You keep them in Washington. That makes it hard for them to run in their states. You signal to the Democratic base. And the base in this instance, I'm not talking about left, you know, I'm not talking about like, you know, so necessarily they tend to be to the left, I think, of the party, but they're not, you know, I'm not talking about like sort of, you know, the activist base, although you do. You signal to all of them that like this is important.
Right. Your most loyal voters, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hey, you know how we were talking about fixing the Voting Rights Act, Section 5? Well, 6-3 justices may make it a little harder for us to come up with, you know, to thread that needle.
Yeah.
You're signaling to them. I mean, there are fights that are worth losing.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, like, again, in advance of an election where more Republicans are up than Democrats in the Senate, like, you should be telling your base every day, like, we are fighting as hard as we can. Like, we are actually trying to win. We are trying to defeat the other side.
Let's talk briefly about the absence of that.
Well, you know, I mean, they have such a strange relationship with their base because they just seem to strongly prefer, like, just like not even they talk about it in terms of electoral strategy, but it seems to just like actually be a sort of emotional preference for reaching out to quote unquote swing voters. Like I think it's still pointed as like what we have to do to win. But I think it really is like, I think they don't really like, and we're not talking about the far left here. We're talking about normal liberal loyal Democratic voters, and I think they don't like firing them up. They're always saying calm down. They're always saying like chill out and calm down, like normal Democratic voters. Like don't get so worked up. Like we got to reach out to Bloomberg guys or whatever.
Yeah, I agree with you that I think it is more emotional. It's not necessarily based in fact. I mean, on some level there was a thing that like radio hosts do when we go on television and are asked to comment. And I include myself. I know I've done this in the past. I don't do it as much as a lot of the old talk radio guys, but it's always like this. Well, I'll tell you what my audience is concerned about. And they're concerned about X, Y, or Z. And, coincidentally, it also happens to be exactly
those are my concerns as well. Yeah.
And so, I mean, that's what it is, right? I mean, it's like there's this relationship like, oh, this is what we need to do to win. Now, we don't have any data to support this. And we have a lot of actually data to show that sometimes it doesn't work out. But that was because of extraneous factors.
Yeah.
Russia or whatever it is. Comey sometimes is right. Sometimes that is, but that is, and that's what we're dealing with. I'm a little bit concerned with this, like the Supreme Court thing. I think Joe Biden is running the perfect Joe Biden campaign.
Yeah,
he's on message. The whole thing where he's like, I'm not going to take the bait on packing the court or this and that. I'm like, good for you, because there is no point right now.
He should not be making headlines, right? He should not be making headlines that are like Joe Biden promises to be equally extreme or whatever. Like he's not giving them like the
he's running the perfect Joe Biden campaign, which is to basically not be here. If you look over here, all you're going to see is like a guy who.
Like I feel like every now and then I see a picture of him wearing a mask, giving a firefighter a pizza.
Yeah, exactly. That's basically it. Like, he's a guy who give a firefighter a pizza. There's nothing. The problem is, and we've talked about this, I think, in the past, is that and you're just making it a referendum on Donald Trump. Mm. That's all well and good. But if there's two things, it seems to me, that can throw that off the rails, and that is events outside of the race that implicate the race. Like Supreme Court dying, like, I don't know what, maybe an attack on Iran or something to that effect or whatever it is. Or there's, you need a different voting group than you thought you did because of inhibition as to the people's ability to vote.
Yeah.
And they are relying on Trump disdain, which is fine, all well and good. But, we see stuff like there was a poll that came out. Black folk under the age of like 35 or something are just.
Yeah. Just completely like alienated from it.
Completely alienated from it. And I don't know what to believe in terms of Joe Biden's Latino numbers, but there's definitely some indication that he is not, pushing as hard as he should for these folks. And he can't, right? Because his strategy is to just like be the guy who drops off the pizza.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's like who knows how accurate these polls are, but his numbers with old whites are just shocking to me. Biden, like they
shockingly good.
Yeah, shockingly good. Which I didn't think in the post-Obama era a Democrat would ever see numbers like that again. I thought Obama was the end of that, and I'm like, I don't know. But then, like exactly like you said, on the other side of that, like, there's not. I don't think he can do. Like, what can he do? Like, right. He is who he is.
Exactly. That's the thing, is that we have sort of like chosen, we took a highway, we took the off ramp.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, the Democratic voters voted this way, and we got off the ramp and we went on to a different highway, and there's no exits between here and the election.
Yeah, and I think people whose politics are a little closer to yours or mine were saying this last year and saying this into the beginning of this year, like this is the choice you're making, right? Like this, some of these candidates electrify particular demographics, and other ones completely turn them off. And then once you make that choice, like you decided it, so you're in this lane now.
Right. And there's only so much that we can do with this. Although I'm going to be talking to Aaron Kleiman from, oh gosh, I can't remember his name, his organization. I always forget it.
Future Now.
Future Now. Thank you. And he's talking about state races that you can support. I know there's people are talking about, there's a list I have here somewhere of like 6 or 7 swing state Senate and House races that are good to support because, get people jazzed up about supporting someone they really like that will have, sort of like a downstream help for the entire ticket.
Like that would be a coordinated campaign to highlight the most, to highlight the best down ballot candidates, like nationwide. That would be I think the only way you could possibly juice some of that vote that's missing right now, is if you introduced people to exciting them.
Yes. And I think there are different organizations doing that, but there's not, I don't know. We don't have
right. People are, I know people who are trying to do that, but it's not like there's not like a sort of coordinated national democratic strategy around that.
Right. And there's also, and to be fair, there's no Koch brothers, because that's what the Koch brothers
that's
would
what they
doing.
do. Yeah. They create rising stars and they fund them, and they, these guys come out of Republican finishing schools, like ready to be introduced to Republican voters, and people are funding them every step of their career.
Exactly. And they're funding the sort of the movements around them that would do what we were just talking about. Like we've created an organization, America, for, that is going to isolate these races and pour billions of dollars into them. So Alex, I know you said you weren't going to make any predictions. I read that, and I know that's important. But let me put it this way: when do you think the election will be over? Just to make it clear, we're not going to know who's president on November 3rd.
Yeah,
and everybody who is listening to the sound of my voice is going to freak out.
Yeah,
at 11 p.m. on November 3rd.
Yeah, we're all going to be looking at our phones,
right? Isn't that what they call it? The red mirage.
Yeah. We're going to be
where Trump is going to be up, by 300 electoral votes. But when are we going to find out? When are we going to find out that's the prediction I want from you.
I think 2 weeks later.
Oh, you got to be.
I think that's like that. I'm saying 2 weeks later if it's a normal-ish, no funny stuff. But then if it becomes a Supreme Court thing, I have no idea. I want to
jump. Well, honestly, I want to jump through this Zoom right now and strangle it. What am I supposed? Let me ask you this then. What am I supposed to do every day on this show while we're waiting to find out?
I don't know. I mean, I think there will be plenty to talk about. We just won't know who the president is.
Sitting here, it's just going to be like, this is. Can you describe your anxiety today? Yeah, no, very much like yesterday.
Yeah. I don't know.
Alex Perrine, be prepared to be the guest on this program every single day.
I'll come on every day.
November 3rd.
Yeah,
yes.
It'll be like Nightline. It'll be great.
Exactly. All we're going to do is we're going to see in your Zoom, and you're just going to be rearranging different things.
There'll be more and more items behind me every time.
The bike is going to switch over to on the bedside. The bed's going to switch over here. You're going to have, and hopefully folks in our audience will send Alex Perrine some trophies. He deserves it.
Please, yeah, thank you.
Alex Perrine. Folks, check out The Politics of Everything. And of course, go subscribe to The New Republic. We desperately need more reporting and great writing in this era. And, while they're still allowed to roam freely, you might as well support them. Alex, thanks so much for your time today.
Yeah, thank you so much.